All right, that looks like it's working. So last week we were looking at that cohort data, and I showed you Survey123 Connect, Survey123. Oh, let me share my face with you so you can see me. It's a little more, little more friendly. Good morning. Last week, what we did is we did Survey123 Connect. I showed you the desktop version. I shared that there's also an app for your phone. We looked at the data in the cloud for AGOL, but I never showed you ArcGIS Pro. And that's a big deal because otherwise it just everything gets stuck in the cloud. So if you're brand new to all things GIS, what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you straight from the beginning. So if I'm just going to come in here and create a new project, I have some names over here, and we're just going to 822. And then it's going to create all the folders for us. So that's the project and all the other things that Esri has it set up to do. And for the most part, everybody uses that. If you're really fancy, you may turn it off. So this is what that looks like when you first get in here. And in order to pull down data from the cloud, we're going to go into Portal. And these are all my surveys. And so we can go in here and we're going to have a lot of those, sorry. This is, there's the first one, which is the skill set. Then there's the cohort second, and that's actually, I think cohort second is the one we're going to go into. That's the one where I ask for your skill sets. The first one was an earlier version of when I did this class. We were asking them what kind of surveys they wanted to do. Now, these are going to be the files that Esri makes for you when they put it in the cloud. This is the one that's your hosted service. And you can double click into that. And it'll give you, if I had a repeat, there'd be, that's a repeat table. And then there's this information here, which are your points. And so we're just going to right mouse click and add that to our map. I don't think I have anything in the repeats. I was playing with something. And then, I don't know if you know this, but if you want to open up your attribute table, you can go click on control and then double click. And most of the time it opens. It's not opening today. That is, oh, there it goes. Okay. It's because I'm streaming. It takes a few seconds. Okay, so what we're looking at here is these are all the questions that are in that Survey123 that has all the data. And so you can actually go in here and you can play with it. So be careful though, we haven't gotten to the sexy part. But if there are domains and you do a field calculate, you want to use the domains to field calculate in Python. If you do it by just using the text, your domains won't work anymore. So just keep that in mind. That's one of those wonky things that you just need to know that that's how that works. So I wanted to share that with you because I hadn't showed that to you. I guess I was just so excited to share with you all the other things that I just forgot about that part. So that's how you're going to download that data. Like I said, be careful when you're in there. This is live data. You can break things, but I'm going to show you the way not to break things so that you don't have to do that. Let's see. So the first thing we want to do is I want to see if somebody has if they did their homework, what would that look like to you? So if you have your homework and you want to share with us, you can come off mute and show your screen. And then we can kind of walk through what that looks like. Anybody want to come off mute? Right. All right. I brought one just in case. All right. So what we're doing, and just so that you know, this class, if you stay on top of it and you are doing the homeworks, you're going to get more out of this because we have 21 weeks. And if you think that you're going to retain all of that just by sight and hearing, or you think you're going to come back and do the videos, it's much harder that way. if you have 21 videos that you're looking at and you didn't do your homework, it's really hard. So my suggestion is stay up with the homework, especially if you're new. I know we have a lot of people who are who know what they're doing in here, and but I just wanted to share with you that it's a good idea if you stay up close. All right, so these are what I did. The homework was to go into labels and put your questions. And so what we're going to do here is these are just some questions that I had in one of my surveys. And then I'm going to enable content. There we go. So a project category, what segment it's in, the gate code, which fire footprint it's in. Can you tell I do stormwater wood management? Are there any safety concerns? Describe the safety concerns, actions needed to complete the survey. Are there inspection access issues? Describe the issues and the inspector for the task. Now there's a lot of things going on here. And so what we did is I put question 1 through, all the rest. I must have taken out some questions in here. And then what I did is I just put type in here. Now, let me close this. Let me actually open up Survey123 because those are not in Survey123. That's just an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to do this like I would if I were you. 0822, and then we're going to say week 3. Now I could do one of two things. Since I already had this, I could go in and pull up a file. But for right now, just make sure that we're on the same playing field. I'm just going to do the advanced survey, do a create. Okay, and then that's going to show us, that's going to give us our magical empty template. Now, the first couple of things that I do every single time that I do Survey123 is I come into choices. I remove ratings because I'm never going to use that. In 7 years, I've never used that. Yes and no questions I always use, but to keep your sanity, do a copy and paste so that they're both uppercase. As a new person, when I was going through here, I just figured these were set up correctly, and they're not, because sometimes you need to know that it's capitalized and sometimes you need to know if it's not. So if you put the same yes and no capitalization, your brain doesn't have to do those extra cycles when you get to a point where you need one or the other. So it's always the same, and it will help your sanity. And this is where that yes, no question comes up. For right now, I'm just going to remove that because we're not there yet. I'm going to cut and paste what I had in the other spreadsheet. And anytime you cut and paste into this other version inside Survey123 Connect, you want to right mouse click and you want to say values, because there's a lot of code behind these cells. And if you just copy and paste into it, you're not going to get the same results. In fact, it's going to give you some error messages. So just use that feature right there. It'll help you out. Now, you guys, if you want to come off mute and help me work through this, it'll be a lot more fun. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to show you how these types work, and then you and I can talk about it. So types right here, this is what's going to tell the computer how to react to the answers. And so you can see this little down arrow right here, and you can come down and you can see there's a lot of different choices. And these aren't in alphabetical order. They're by the types that you would use the most. And so text is always on top. Now, if you don't know what those are, you can come down here into these tabs, and this one says question types. And right here, it's going to tell you all the different question types and what they do. And it's also going to show you if it's available in the web app. There are two that are not, the barcode and the device ID. And the device ID, that's because on your computer, it doesn't really know, in the browser, it doesn't really know what your device is, or it doesn't have access to it. So what we're going to do is, because there's a lot going on in here, we don't want to do everything, but I want to show you, these are some of the top selections. And so we're looking at just a text field or an integer or a decimal. It's really easy. You know, you don't have to think about short, long, all those floats, all those. It's just easy. Integer, decimal, date and time, or time and then date and time. I always use date and time because I don't want the inspectors to have to go into one and then into the other. But maybe you just need one. Some of these, I'm going to go into, these are your domains. So if you want to do a select one and you have information as your domains, that's where we're going to use those. The rest of these we'll probably get into much later. So a different week. So let me put this back up here. Actually, I'm going to show you something else. That was the old one that I just copied from. Let me show you how, if you're not sure about all of this and you want to keep these up, what I do is I right mouse click and you can tell it to copy. Somebody showed this to me in a YouTube video and it changed my life. So I know I want the question type to be copied. I'm going to create a copy, but you go up here and you say new book and say, okay, it gives you a whole new spreadsheet and it didn't change anything here. It's still here. So I'm going to put this on my other screen so that we can see it. I'm going to go back to survey. So now what we want to do is we want to figure out what's the best way to tell the computer to do all of this. So if you want to come offline or come on off mute, I'm going to pull this right here. Let's talk through what these should look like.
Well, I can go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
First of all, thanks, Michelle, for showing all of these. And this is our third session. I appreciate the crowd and your effort in here. I think from the question type and based on the labels which are showing up here, we can make use of text. We can make use of integer. And if aspect of the risk, mostly text and integer. Here, I don't see any date type question.
That's correct. There is no date question, and we probably need to put that in there because we need to know. Thank you very much. So we can just add that right in here. There's a date question. We'll just add another number here, and we can call that date of inspection. And let me tell you why that's important. When you get into the back end of ArcGIS Pro, it's going to bring down the creator and the editor, and the creator and the editor date. Sometimes those change. If you're in ArcGIS Pro and you make an edit, it's going to change all those edit dates. And you may have just lost your date of inspection because if you're doing them over and over and over, you lose that history. I'm not going to get into repeats today, but I'm just going to tell you, you want to make sure that you do that. So that is a great, thank you very much. Date of inspection. We want a date question in there. And the integer, we don't have any integers in there. Maybe gate code could be an integer. So we could put integer in here. Now, some of these, there's a lot of text in there. Some of these can be a domain. So if we were looking at a fire footprint, maybe we want to put a domain in there because maybe we have several that we're looking at. And what we can do is, if you're inside a fire footprint, we only need one. We don't want to do multiples. So you can grab this list one, or I'm sorry, select one. And you can, actually, I think we could just pull that in because of the down arrow. Select one, list name. Now, where it says list name, you have to change that part. And how do you figure out where to put those? You can put those in choices because that's where your drop downs are going to be. So we can call that fire. And it doesn't matter if it's capital or uppercase or lowercase, but you do need to make sure that they're the same everywhere. So I'll show you what that means. These are some of the fires that we work with. We're in California. I live near Oak Glen. So we have the apple fire here. And one more, we call it CZU, and that is up in Santa Cruz. Now, these are all one word, so I can just copy and paste them. Remember, you're going to right mouse click and use this values. And the reason for that is on the back end, it's going to tell you if you have, let me see if it changes. Nope, it doesn't. I was thinking it was going to tell me it was a duplicate. You can't do duplicates here. It's just like in your survey in names. You can't do a duplicate in this column because this is the key for Survey123, and you can only have one. There are a few things that go on here also are you can't use a restricted name, and I think something like maybe latitude or let me show you just real quick. In the name field, reserved words are down here. And these are all the words that they've used, that Esri uses behind the scenes in the code. So you can't use any of those. But what you can do is you can make maybe two words, but with no spaces. So you could come in here and I saw at on there, and so maybe you wanted to put at in here. Let me show you over here because it should block me out. At, yeah, it's an invalid name, but if you really wanted to use at, you could say at and then location or something. As long as you have something that's different than the reserved words, you can use it. And so this one here, we're going to do fire just like we did here. And I like to cut and paste because then I know I got the exact word, the exact spelling, capitals, and all of that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to say save. And I didn't get any error messages, and that's really cool. Sometimes you'll get an error message. And when you do, they're pretty good about telling you where to look for that error message. Once in a while, you'll get one that's really funky and it doesn't tell you anything. And hopefully you remember what your last step was since you saved it. And that'll help you out. Then you can incrementally get stronger. You know, go back and remove what you did, undo right here. And then you can save until it saves. And once you save, then you've seen what you backed out. And then you can start over and add something and then save and add something and save and see what broke that. That's the best way I can tell you how to do that when that error message is not helpful. Let's see, what else do we have? So we did that. Let me show you select multiple because that's the other one that we can do. Select multiple. Maybe we safety concerns. We could probably do that one. Select multiple. I'm going to do this first. We'll just call this safety. And I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to copy this over to the other side into choices. And maybe we can say steep grade or something like that. And dog. Dog's a good one. Okay, just so that we give them options, we'll tell them it could be a dog, it could be two dogs. Now you notice how there's a space in here. Actually, this is a good teaching one. I'm going to copy it. So Control C is copy. And we're going to right mouse click and do the 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a save and see how that does because I think it's going to break it for me. Okay. Spaces cannot be added to multiple choice sections, steep grade, and then in safety. So that tells you exactly where you need to look. So we're going to, I like camel case when we do that. Also, these little brackets, you can't use symbols. So I'm going to just say dog on this one and do save. All right, so you can see here that you have fire and you have those radio buttons. And then here you have square buttons. So radio buttons are select one and the squares are select multiple. There's a couple other things we can do here, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds. I want to give you some time to do some questions and answers. Let me open that up. Let me open up our questions. Does anybody have anything they'd like me to dive into a little more? We have a few more minutes. Is there something specific I can dive into for you today? Or did you have any questions on this one?
Just because we were doing select multiple, I think Joshua has a question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about ratings, maybe. For instance, 1 star, 2 star, 5 star, and then how to make sort of like the symbol of that, sort of like to modify it.
Okay, symbols are fun. Just know that if you, down the line, if you use a symbol here and you want to make a feature report, you're going to get the symbol in the feature report. So keep that in mind. I also love symbols, and I did that. And then when I was going through that process of doing the feature report for the stakeholder, it wasn't very pretty. So I had to go back and I had to change them. So keep that in mind. Ratings, when we had ratings here in the choices, all you have to do is whatever that rating text is, like if it was called rating, or I don't remember if there's an E in there, sorry. You would come in here and then you would just put, you'd put that text in there. As far as symbols go, you can in here put some symbols in there. I do also want to tell you that for integers and text, there is something very specific with those. Zip codes and APNs are text. They're numbers in our head, but we're not going to analyze those. So zip codes and APNs you want to put in as text so that they sort appropriately. Numbers and anything that you want to analyze are going to be integers and decimals, and also lat longs. So keep that in mind as you're working through everything. As you're getting to do really, really cool code, you're going to want to build your own toolbox. I'll show you what mine looks like. I have a few things that I do. I update anytime I'm doing surveys. I have to come in here and I have to figure out, well, maybe I need to do an update on every single survey, or there's some new piece of code that came out. That's part of that. I went through all the templates that are the samples, and these were some cool things that happened. This is my survey with all the cool code that I have. Let me look in choices. There it is. Okay, so we are looking for weather, and you see how the symbols are right here? Those symbols are actually going to show up. So let me look for weather in the survey, and I can show you what that looks like. Weather. Okay, so here's the weather. Let me see. Weather emojis from Emoji Media. So you can go in there, paste them into the labels of the choices, and use the select one. And I put fun in there. Let's see. Here's the, and it's a .org. Let me put that in chat real quick. Good question. I like that one. All right, and then let me see if there was anything else I did for that one. I did Likert, and that's the one that's going to give you the bar, and it's going to say like your ratings. I think you'll like that one. See if there's anything else I need to share with you. Nope, that looks like it. Anyways, yes, you want to, as you're learning how to do all of this, you're going to get some really sexy code. You're going to borrow code, you're going to get code, you're going to find code. Whatever that looks like, you want to start saving them in a toolbox. Because I remember as a new person, I was doing some really cool stuff and I just saved the whole spreadsheet. And then I'd have like 6 or 7 spreadsheets. Well, now I have over 100 spreadsheets. And so I started putting them in the toolbox because I didn't want to remember, well, did I do that at this job? Did I do that at this job? Did I do it wherever it was? Now I just have my really cool, and I color code everything. So I know that there's some blue highlighted areas in there, and that's some really cool code that I have. And I only use it once in a while, but I know it's there. So keep that in mind. I do not sell mine. I don't give it away. I want you to build your own, because if I give you mine, it's not gonna help you because you're just gonna cut and paste things, but you do need to find out how to do things. So some of the things that we'll talk about all the rest later. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have another question for our last 1 minute? Okay, the pool data, I do see a question. Yeah, it's too early for that one. We're going to get into the sexy stuff later. We probably have about 4 more classes of just general get it done, just figuring things out. I usually schedule 4 hours for this beginner course. So that's actually 8 classes. And then we start getting into the really cool things. So it'll be fun to get there. All right, well, thank you all so much. And if you're watching this on YouTube, do a thumbs up or do a comment. It helps us to get the word out. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful day.